The quality of your questions will determine the quality of your results. If I just go in with a standard generic question and I sound like every other salesperson they're talking to, it doesn't matter if I'm asking all the quote unquote right questions. If they feel like they're being interrogated or they're just putting through a process where you have no interest in them and you're being robotic, it's not going to work.
If they say nothing's missing, they've essentially just like sold themselves into the fact that this is the perfect solution and the next logical step is to move forward.
These 5 things are killing your deal. We're going to go over the 5 things that kill most salespeople's deals. And these happen, I promise you, you're doing at least one of them, if not all 5 of them. So let's go ahead and dive into what the 5 things are so that you can fix them. Because if you fix these 5 things, you're gonna close way more deals.
Yes.
Let's get started.
After reviewing hundreds of sales calls for our clients, part of our team is we do the lead generation, but we also review sales calls. So what we're going to share with you is after reviewing hundreds, if not thousands of sales calls, and these are the 5 things that come up, you're probably doing one of the 5. So lock in and let's dive in.
The number one thing that is killing your deals is talk time. It's talk time, talk time, talk time. If you are
talking too much,
right? And I think a mistake that people make is they think that the salespeople are these good talkers. They're these good talkers. Introverts end up becoming some of the best salespeople because they're very good at listening, paying attention. And so talk time, I mean, I say 60-40, but really you should be shooting for like 60-65% of the time your prospect is talking. So what's killing the deal is when the salesperson is mostly talking. Like if you're talking 50% of the time, you're going to get slaughtered. Now, I will say on the other side, kind of pushover people where a prospect comes in and owns the show and they're talking like 85%. That's also not good. So find like a ratio where you're maybe talking 30-40% of the time and then the prospect is talking the rest of the time.
That's so good. So it's more so that collaborative dialogue that's happening where you're asking questions, you're sitting back listening, and we're going to talk about questions in a second, but you're more so asking questions, sitting back, listening, and engaging your prospect in a way that they're also adding value. They're talking and they're actually giving you enough information so that you can take them through the next steps in the sales process. I think it's also important to differentiate, right, the talk times when it's a discovery call versus when you're going into, say, a proposal or a demo, right? Probably that discovery call is going to be closer to that 60-40 where your prospect is speaking most of the time and there's 40% is you. But when you go into that proposal or the demo, you're probably going to be speaking more than the prospect, but it shouldn't be at a ratio where you are dominating the conversation and not allowing the prospect to weigh in on the proposal or the demo. You actually want the prospect so engaged in that proposal or the demo in that conversation because that's what's going to allow them to get bought into your process and your strategy. So differentiate between the discovery where you want the prospect speaking more versus the proposal or the demo call where you are speaking more, but just kind of invert that. I'll say probably 60% you speaking on the proposal call, 40% is the client.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good assess. We're not going to go too off onto that, but I will just put one thing in there is if you are giving a proposal and a pitch, you absolutely want that to be a conversation with the prospect. Your pitch, your demo should not be, here's our cool thing, you shut up and listen for 15 minutes and then ask questions. It should be a platform for you to have a conversation, for you to develop the relationship or the strategy with the customer. So yeah, absolutely. I mean, the client should be talking 40 or 50% of the time, even during a demo and a pitch.
So the second thing that you're probably doing wrong in your sales process, or how to identify if your sales team's not doing a very good job, how to improve, is to ask great questions. So we're talking about talk time. How do you get your prospect to speak more? Is to ask them great questions.
Yeah. So really good question. I'm going to give you some really tactical stuff here. But just high level, whoever asks the best questions is going to get the deal. Like the quality of your questions will determine the quality of your results. Because if I just go in with just a standard generic question and I sound like every other salesperson they're talking to, it doesn't matter if I'm asking all the quote unquote right questions. If they feel like they're being interrogated or they're just putting through a process where you have no interest in them and you're being robotic, it's not going to work. You want to ask great questions that are relevant to them. You can do really simple stuff like use like an AI researcher. I'm not an affiliate or anything, but Omni, it's a great tool you can put your prospect company into, and it gives you information about the person, that like what their company does. Like it uses language. It'll give you language that they use. So I can ask like, oh, tell me more about, XYZ. In your company does the ERP implementations for this. Yes, it does. You see, so if I can ask great questions, it's going to be great questions is going to be things that make them go, oh, you understand me. Cindy understands me. She understands my business, because I'm not making statements. I'm asking a question that signals to my prospect that, oh, Tim understands me, my industry, and what I do. And you want the prospect to, that's a great question, But if your prospect feels like, okay, just tell me what you do. Right? Like that's going to happen sometimes. Sure, I'm more than happy to tell you an overview. Here's what we do, blank, 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 blank. But for me to build you a custom pricing, I need to know a little bit more about you. Are you cool with that? But for the most part, you should see that person leaning in when you're asking great questions. So use simple research tools for your prospects. So when you get on a call, you have some information, you understand the language, the right kind of questions to ask. Because the quality of your questions is really going to set that call up and ultimately the proposal up and the deal up really, really well.
That's so good. So part of asking great questions is being curious, genuinely being curious about the prospect, their business, their challenges, what their goals are. What are some other tips that you have, Tim, around like how to be more curious, how to be more engaged in the conversation, where it doesn't feel so like I'm taking you through a script of these 10 questions I have to get through to take you through to the next step? Because prospects don't like that. People that have been on multiple sales calls do not like that. How do you make it feel more natural, more engaging?
Also just being honest with the prospect, like, hey, there is some questions I got to ask you. I just, there's
I have to know this.
There's just some, I'm going to build this custom strategy for you. There's some stuff I have to know. Like, I'm more than happy to tell you what we do. But there's some stuff I have to know, and just being honest about some of the logistical questions you have to ask. Like, I can't build you a strategy without this. I mean, if you, do you want me to ask you these questions and build you a custom strategy or not? Like, and then there is asking questions that are really designed to get them to engage and lean in. Like asking questions that get them to come to conclusions versus you making statements. I always say, what is going to build a better belief? Like if you listen, if you make a statement to me, you tell me something. What's more powerful? If you tell me something or if I tell you something? What are you going to believe more? The thing that you told me or the thing that I told you?
What I told you.
Everybody is going to believe the thing that they're saying over the thing that they're being told. 100%. And so great questions are also about leading somebody to, and not weird or deceptive, but getting them to tell you the thing, that the certain type of statements, get them to tell you the problem that they're dealing with. Like, I want them to tell me the extent. I want them to tell me the impact of the problem. I want them to tell me how long this has been going on for. I want them to tell me the impact on their business. I want them to tell me in 6 months or 12 months what happens if we get, more lead generation. I want them to tell me what happens if in 6 to 12 months they don't get these things fixed. So there is on one side asking great questions that make the prospect see that you understand them. I usually want to lead with those kind of things. And I try to keep that going. But once they've built trust and they see that you're interested, and that you understand them and that you're asking good questions, then you can start asking some more of those questions that are more like impact and more of the emotional questions. So I save those kind of more emotional impact and cost of not moving, like all these things more once I've kind of built trust through asking more questions that use their language earlier on. So if I kind of think about early on in the questions, I want to be asking questions that are like, oh, this person understands me. Once I got them so that they feel heard, they feel understood, they feel like I'm an expert at this stuff, then I can start asking those more just logistical questions. What's your lifetime value? What's your goal? How many meetings you want, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay. So if I'm a sales manager and I'm diagnosing this for my sales team's call, so first thing I checked is talk time. Are my sales reps just talking too much, right? Yeah. Easy diagnosis. Asking great questions. What are some telltales that lets a sales manager know that their team is asking the right questions on the call?
The prospect leaning in. The prospect leaning in and becoming more open to answering questions.
That's good.
When a prospect leans out, what's that old song? Lean back.
It's like disengaged.
Lean back.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. If who's that rapper?
Fat Joe.
Fat Joe. If they're starting to Fat Joe it, lean back. Like that means they're not doing a good job. You want them leaning in. And good questions get the person more engaged, not less engaged, for sure.
So good.
But from there, which is number 3, is probing, right? So probing is you can have somebody asking all the right questions and then missing the whole point of the question, which is going layers deep into that question. So probing is critical, right? If you ask one great question, you get the person to lean in and you go, boom, awesome.
Next
Done.
question.
Next question. That's where it starts to get robotic. Where I want to do, and I can, if I have, a checklist of 10 things that I need to accomplish in a call, which, about 10 things, little check mark boxes. It's actually really nice to organize once you're good at your script, right? Okay, did I get these things or not? You want to probe into what they said so it feels like the question you're asking is based off the answer they just gave you. So a good probe would be like, very simple. Right? Well, so tell me, what are you doing right now for lead generation? Well, we're doing this thing. What do you like about it? Oh, I like this and the other. Well, what's your biggest challenge with it? Right? You see, so I'm probing in. So it feels like based off what they just told me, I'm asking the next question. So
So you're asking clarifying questions to really understand the full picture of what the prospect's describing.
Correct. And I would say the biggest mistake that I see sales reps make, and this happens 99 times out of 100 for sales reps, is their probing questions are long-winded, almost like they're trying to force a certain kind of answer. And when I'm like, oh, well, how long has that been going on for that you've been struggling with lead generation? It's been causing ups and downs in your business and it's been fluctuating and you can't get it fixed. It's like, I
didn't say that.
I didn't say all that. Like,
I didn't say that.
Like, seriously, how long has that been going on for? Did you just say 2 years? What do you think's causing that? What else? What impact is that having? Gotcha. Well, if we were to work together to get this fixed, what's the goal? How many meetings do you want? Right? You see, very simple, and that's how, when the more simple it is, the less intrusive it is, but the more you're going to get them to talk and them to pour out. And remember what we just said earlier, what's more powerful, the statements that you make to me or that I make to you? Statements that you make to me are always more powerful. So if I use simple probing and get them to make the statements, then it's more impactful, and they're gonna remember it more, and they're gonna buy in more.
So good. So remember, ladies and gents, we're talking about diagnosing your sales process. What are the 5 things that, if you're the founder, maybe you're a sales manager, you're a leader, and you want to diagnose your team's sales calls to get you to close more deals. Maybe you're a sales rep and you want to make sure that you are ticking the boxes on the things that you should and shouldn't be doing to convert more deals in the pipeline. Our goal with this episode is to walk you through those 5 things that you need to be aware of in order to make sure that you're not making these mistakes and to close more deals. So we went through talk time, asking great questions, how to probe into those questions. What is the 4th mistake we see companies make in their sales process that's causing them to lose deals?
For instance, if I'm going through part of my proposal, I could be going through a slide and say, hey, step 1, we're going to do X, Y, Z for you. Instead of saying, does that make sense? I'm going to ask, what's missing here that I'm not thinking about? What happens when I go, what's missing here, Cindy, that I'm not thinking about?
It's getting me to think about it and to articulate what's actually missing so that you can better the proposal.
Correct. So any objections you have, you're going to, this and this. But what happens if you don't have anything? If you can't think of anything, what are you going to say?
Nothing. Nothing's missing.
So you just told me that nothing's missing from what I just showed you and that it looks great. Yeah, no, nothing's missing. It's exactly what we need. So either I flush an objection by asking you simply, what's missing here that I'm not thinking about? Either I flush an objection that's going to be there whether you deal with it or not. But if I flush it, I can deal with it. Oh, tell me about that. I want to make sure if we're going to work together, we're aligned. How do we fix this? Well, what would you need to see? Okay, great. Well, the way we cover that thing, I'm glad you brought it up, is XYZ. Would that take care of it for you? Yes, it would. Great. Okay. So is there anything else here that's missing that you're thinking about? No, it looks good. You see what I'm doing? So I'm handling all the objections, or I'm getting them to sell themselves. Another thing, just doing more no-oriented questions. Is there anything missing here that I'm not thinking about? No. Is there anything on the proposal we went over today that would keep your team from moving forward?
No.
Right? Okay, great. So the next step is, we would just, the cost was a little bit higher and we're thinking, well, tell me about that. Well, was it more about the upfront or the ongoing? So think about every section, every time you ask, does that make sense? Go listen to one of your calls and ask yourself, how can I reframe does that make sense into a no-oriented question? What's missing here? Are there any red flags that I'm not seeing? Well, what else were you looking for that I'm not covering here? Really get them to do that. And that's going to be one of the most effective things that turns you from just a mediocre salesperson to an expert, for sure.
Yeah, that's so good. And on that point, if they say nothing's missing, they've essentially just like sold themselves into the fact that this is the perfect solution and the next logical step is to move forward.
Exactly. And if I'm doing that throughout the proposal, remember we talk time, even in discovery, you should be, hey, as we go through this proposal, I might be off with some of the strategy ideas that we brought to you. If any of those are there, let me know, because I can bring this back to my sales team or my operations team. They can rebuild it for us, because I don't want to sign you on as a client until we are aligned, which is also very true. If you have custom solutions, I don't want to do that. But it also builds trust with the prospect, and it frames the whole discovery or the whole proposal call as conversation. Now at each main selling point, I'm going to be asking no-oriented questions to handle any objections. Maybe I do got to change the strategy to align with that company more. So it's not just about influence. It's about literally figuring out what the client needs and seeing if we can solve that problem correctly. And then doing that throughout the proposal versus, here's the whole thing. Does this look good? Sure does. I'm exhausted from your freaking long presentation.
30-minute presentation.
It looks great. No, looks good, buddy. Send it over. And then it goes. Oh, where'd they go? They seem so excited about the proposal. Dude, because you ran it horribly.
Yes. And this is why, ladies and gents, you should not be sending proposals via email. Like, cut that out of your sales process entirely. If you are doing a discovery and then sending proposals via email and waiting for your prospects to come to a decision, as we just walked through, the process of presenting a proposal on a call is so that you can flush out those objections and perfect the proposal, perfect the strategy, and move the prospect to the next step in the sales process. If you are sending a proposal via email, you do not have an opportunity to handle objections, to customize the proposal. Like you are literally essentially allowing that company to talk themselves out of even moving forward with you at all. So if you are doing that, this is like a side note, stop sending proposals via email. Get on a call with the prospect so you can walk them through the proposal, so that you can ask them these clarifying questions as you walk through the proposal, and you can get them bought in, and they're going to sell themselves. If you are doing what Tim is describing and you are asking these open-ended questions, these great questions, these probing questions, the prospect is going to sell themselves.
Yeah. And it's about keeping deal momentum,
which is number 5.
It's number 5. Deal momentum. Nothing kills a deal more than this. You run a discovery, you go through this mind-numbing 20-minute demo. Do you like it? Does this make sense? Sure does. Send it over. I'm exhausted. I got another call to do, and I got to go through another one of these proposals. Send it over. Hello, send it over. Let me know. And you just kill the deal momentum. I want every single... Number one, if you're selling if you have a high lifetime value and your clients are worth money, every client you're going to have to build something custom for the most part. You know what I mean? There's going to be some things that are just, you do the same every time, and some things that are going to be custom for their organization, the way they operate. And you want to develop that out before you sign them on. It's a big mistake people make. Well, I don't got, until they're paying me money, I don't want to develop that. Well, fine. That's cool. You do that. And I'll take all those customers that you can't get. Totally fine with me. But you want to develop that out. And the great thing about developing that out with a prospect is you let them know you're developing that out with them. And there's always a reason for a next meeting. Here's the biggest point is you want to keep deal momentum by always having the next meeting. And you only get the next meeting by what? You only get the next meeting by there being value for that prospect to do the next meeting with you. So if I set up a proposal and I send it out and I go, let me know what you think. They love it. Guys, we got a closed deal. He's going to talk to his CFO tomorrow. He said he's pretty much in and you just got to get the check off from the CFO. And then, hey, Tim, you've had a lot of those deals that are about to sign and it's been 6 months. None of them have signed. What have happened? Oh, I don't know. There's, bureaucracy. Like, no, people don't buy. Like, people don't have a buyer's process like you think they do. You need to walk them through the buyer's process. Great. So if I run a discovery call, get the information. Great. So, hey, Cindy, I'm going to set up a strategy for you this next call. We'll go over that. If there's anything that needs to be adjusted, we develop it out with our clients before they pay us any money. So if there's anything that needs to be adjusted from there, we can set up the next call. Now, once you're bought in, the next step is going to be, who else is on your team that's going to need to be brought into this? Okay, cool. Should they be on the next call or do we want to talk first and make sure that we're a fit and then bring them? Okay, great. So on the next call, if we're a fit, then from there, we're going to be setting up a meeting with, you said Richard was the VP of sales, right? So you see, so I'm always kind of pre-framing that we're developing these things out and we're going to be moving the thing forward. Number one, I'm always pre-framing these and at every point. And in the call setting up for the next call, but I'm also giving value for the next call. How do you do this? Well, here's a couple little techniques. Is number one, if somebody asks you questions, you don't have to always answer them. The promise of information is value for future calls, right? So, hey, tell me about this, that, and the other. Well, you know what? I have some ideas on it, but I'd really like to bring it to my team to make sure I get you the right information. What I'll do is I'm taking notes on this call. I'll take all, that, and you ask about this other thing before. I'll make sure to get that to my team, and when we do a follow-up call, I can get all that information to you. Sound good? You see, so throughout the call, I'm seeding. There's going to be a follow-up to make sure all their questions are going to answer. Now, if it's like, and is this a 3-month contract for the pilot? Well, I got to get back to you on that. And I was like, yeah, it's 3 months. But like, number one is the promise of information is going to be value for future calls. So don't always give out all the information all on the call. Save some. Also, just think about like each call is you're developing this strategy and this relationship together. And you go, well, how long do I do this for? You want to do it until they go, let's go.
It's exactly what we need. Yeah.
The natural progression of the more calls you're doing with a person, there's more trust being built. There's more comfort. They like you more. They trust you more. And I've been on 5 calls with Tim. Like, they've got a great strategy. It aligns with our goals. They've been developing this out. Now it's the perfect proposal. And Joe Bob, my competitor, sent them over a proposal and hoped that magically closed the deal.
Via email,
and I've been developing this thing out over 5 calls. So now I've got trust. Now the strategy has been tweaked for the CFO, the VP of sales, everybody who has input. Now that thing is made sure that it aligns with their goals as well too. So that's the way I think about deal momentum. There's always got to be value for the next call. I'm always framing early on that there's going to be a next call, that we're going to be getting other stakeholders involved if they like it. And that's how you keep deal momentum. And the natural progression of deal momentum should be them saying, let's do this.
Yes, so good. This is arguably the number one mistake that we see companies make that is preventing them from closing more deals, signing on more clients, is simply you're stopping the deal momentum. Like, your deals have no momentum. They stop at the first call. They stop at a second call. And as leaders, we have to make sure that we're not putting a false assumption or expectation on our team to have to get deals in, say, 1 or 2 calls, right? Depending on the lifetime value of your client. If you know that it takes a few calls in order to get momentum and to get deals across the finish line, it's okay to have that expectation for your team that it's not going to be 1 call, it's not going to be 2 calls. So you can easily diagnose with your sales team and with your people, do they have deal momentum? Are they sending proposals and prospects are ghosting them? We see this happen so often. It's more common than you realize, where people are just sending out the proposal and waiting for something to happen. Diagnose your calls and see, is there maybe 1 call in the process? Maybe it's on that second call that the momentum is lost. right? And you can start to identify, okay, how can we make sure that on that second call, we have a reason for the third call so that the deals are not just stopping at call 2 and then ghosting. So this gives you great insight to be able to diagnose what call within your process or what step in the process is killing the deals and stopping the momentum.
And you can map out value. You can map out, like, list out all the reasons for your prospect to get value at each stage. So lay out your stages. It could be like discovery call, proposal, strategy development, key stakeholder development. Like, lay out all the potential stages of every call if you're going to do 10 calls with a company. Just like kind of overthink it. And then at each stage go, what are like 4 or 5 values that I could give to follow up with the next call, right? So if you can kind of pre-think about what are all the values of getting the prospect that the prospect can have, like the value the prospect gets of doing the next call, you start to lay all those out, and then you start not giving all information out in the moment, but promising information. You start doing those 2 things, and after a while, it's just going to become second nature. But it is by far the thing that puts your client acquisition costs and through the roof and kills deals more than anything is losing deal momentum. Because remember this, that a buyer doesn't know the buyer process. You have to walk the buyer through the buyer process. You have to be the expert keeping the deal moving forward. Those who rely on the buyer to keep the deal moving forward are going to lose. And those who take ownership over the deal and the buyer process and the seller process and the entire thing, and they keep the deal moving forward, are the ones that are not just going to get a little bit better results, but they're going to get the majority of the business in their marketplace, period.
So good. And the higher the lifetime value of your client, the higher the deal size, the more calls it is going to take to close the prospect. If your deal size is lower, you probably can close them in 1 or 2 calls. But if you are going after those larger contracts and your deal size is really large, it is for a fact going to take you a lot more calls to close that prospect than it would with a smaller deal size.
These are the 5 things that kill most deals. Most sales teams, most salespeople, most entrepreneurs are doing 1, if not all 5 of these things wrong. And if you look at any killer sales team, any killer salesperson, any entrepreneur that's just scaling their business, they're doing at least 3 or 4 of these things right. And those who do all 5, crush it. Absolutely crush it. So make sure your talk time's on point. Use a simple tool like Fathom. That'll tell you your talk time, making sure that you're on point. Ask great questions. Watch back to your videos. Are your prospects leaning in? Are they getting more open? Are they wanting to divulge more and more information, or are they leaning back? Are they leaning back? Are they fat joeing you? Right? So you got to make sure that like they're leaning in, not leaning back. Are you probing? Are you taking, oh, that's some really good information. Let me dig into that. And then my making my questions feel like they're based off of what the prospect just told me. Does that make sense? I'm just kidding. That's the one thing. Stop asking, does that make sense? Right? So make sure you're asking things like, what is this missing? You know, what else am I not thinking about that you guys needed? What would keep this deal from moving forward? Though you want to reframe that, does that make sense? Do you like this? To no oriented questions. You got in the by far, big time, when we look at our prospects, especially the ones selling to bigger companies, bigger organizations, the one thing killing their deals more than anything else is that they are not keeping sales momentum. So you got to keep the momentum going, because it is your job to keep the deal going, not your prospects.
Utilize these 5 steps to diagnose your team's sales process. As usual, we talk all things marketing, sales, lead generation on the Takeover Show. If you loved it, give this a like or thumbs up. Make sure that you are following the show wherever you are listening. And remember, domination is not a destination. It's a way of life. Stay winning.